All right, so what's good, y'all? This is a video I would love to hear what his take on it is. It's by M Enterprises. It's called "The Problem with a Grounded Batman." This is as a huge Batman fan like myself, y'all know I'm a delusional Batman fan. I've said it. I explained what I meant by that in multiple videos. I ain't gonna go through it now. But as much as I love Batman, I am still, and I'm hoping James Gunn brings that. I'm hoping, but I'm still waiting on that Arkham, the Batman animated series type of Batman, that fantasy type where you could put grounded and like you put it together, but I want more of the other side of villains, so on and so forth, mixed with Joker. Real, I'm not like I want it together. That's one thing the animated series, Arkham series, did very well. In the comics, they was together, but lately we've been given the same type of versions of Batman. Which, by the way, I have no issues with Michael Keaton, Kristen Bell, Pattinson, and all that stuff. But we've been given so much of it that it's like, where's the other side? And we did get it for a little bit with Ben Affleck. That's why, in my opinion, I believe a lot of people love Ben Affleck's Batman is because he embraced that Arkham series, that video game series of Batman, that Kevin Conroy Batman. He embraced that more than anything. I mean, let's be real. A lot of people like Batman v Superman. Excuse me, Batman v Superman was a mixed bag to people. I loved it, but some people didn't. It was a mixed bag. But what does people talk about the most when it comes to that movie? Whether they hated it or not. And I've met people who hate the movie and they say the same thing. I hate the movie, but that warehouse scene with Batman is something that was long overdue. Almost everybody I've known, well, a lot of people I've heard, known, watch on TV or whatever, they always talk about that scene because that is a scene that we grew up seeing. Whether if you grew up with the Arkham series or if you was like me with the Batman animated series, the comics, Ben Affleck embraced that role of the Dark Knight that we want to see. Yeah, he had his little, just a little bit different, but for the most part, he was what Arkham Asylum and Arkham Origins and all of them, that Batman was what a lot of these comics are. He embraced also that fantasy version of Batman, like when he was one of my favorite scenes of Batman v Superman was when Doomsday shot his beam and Batman did the classic Frank Miller's comic pose and then grab the hook away. I thought that's classic. But that warehouse scene is still this day still gets talked about as one of the best superhero moments ever. Not just DC moments or Marvel moments, one of the best superhero moments of all time. Not the number one, but one of the best. And it's because we saw what we've been asking for. I ain't gonna front. When I left that theater, I thought about that scene over and over. I'm like, this is what I want. No knock to Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. They're GOATs. They're classics. I love their movies. Dark Knight, still my favorite Batman movie. But when it comes to Batman, not Bruce Wayne, but Batman, I want more of the other side of Batman to be introduced. We haven't really gotten that. And I know I'm not going to count the Batman and Robin with George Clooney. I'm not going to do that. No. That's like a... Anyway, I talked about that before. But I think one of the problems with a grounded Batman is that we've gotten too much of it. And like I said, it's not a problem with it. But when you get too much, especially when you know there's another side, especially when you play the video games and the world is built better. And you're like, why is this story not happening in the movies? Instead, we get another crime, mob boss type of Batman movie, which again is not a problem. But when you keep doing it over and over, it's like, okay. And we got a little bit of the fantasy in Batman Begins with Scarecrow, which, by the way, Cillian Murphy I thought did a great job with that. But it was mostly like the mob, the Dark Knight, the mob. Shout out to the Joker though, but it was the mob. Pattinson, the mob. So, more of the detective side, which again, I have no problem with, but it was consistent. And then when we got Affleck, we was like, okay, we started to see a little light at the end of the tunnel. We about to see something different. He's more advanced. It's not a Batman that was a year or two in. We keep getting those, and it's like, okay, can we get a more advanced Batman? And yeah, I just think the answer to this question for me is we got too much of it. To where it's like, okay, can we see the other side? There is another side. There's so many villains in Batman's category that's famous that has not been introduced because it's too it's too much of the fantasy side. And Batman's a comic book superhero. It's okay to go that route. It's okay to have that scene in the Flash, regardless of how you feel about the Flash movie. That Batman, the Affleck scene was pure gold to me. The best scene was when he was riding his motorcycle, a little spoiler alert, and it was a truck that exploded and he went through the fire and he rolled out and then used a grapple hook. You haven't really seen that in a Batman movie. Not like that. That was so unrealistic, but that's Batman. That's what we've seen growing up. That's what we read growing up. That's what you get at the Arkham games. And it's like, that's what we want. Granted, that suit he wore, I don't know what the heck that was, but forget that. That moment was like, why have we not got a movie of this? The Flash scene, regardless of how you care about that movie, that scene with Affleck was just that alone, him swirling around in the fire. Oh, man, bro. With the warehouse scene, it was like we got a taste of what we wanted. But no, we go right back, and then Batman comes out, which again, as a Batman fan, I enjoyed the movie. It was good. It wasn't a bad movie, but it's like, okay, can we see the other side now? And speaking of that too, can we get a more, which I hope James Gunn brings. Sorry if you hear that. There's a train going by. But I hope James Gunn brings this where we get a taller, like Ben Affleck's Batman. He was bigger. He was more like a brute. Like he was, I miss that Batman. That we haven't got. We always got the short, skinny one, And Batson is not, he's not short, but he's still on the skinny side. I still believe, and maybe that's how his suit looked, Ben Affleck's suit looked, but I hope we get wherever James Gunn's Batman is more of the tall, big, intimidating Batman where, yeah, that Arkham Asylum type of Batman, that's what I want. But I'm curious to see what his take on it is. That was his mind. I just think we get too much of the grounded to where we're missing the other side that we could get and enjoy. But maybe James Gunn, I'm hoping the best for him. I hope he brings that version, a more advanced Batman that's a little bit more on the fantasy side as well. He can mix both. So we'll find out. But let's see here. I'll put the original video of his in the description below. Let me like the video now. Like I always say, whether if I agree or disagree with whatever this take is going to be, I always want to show support. All right.
King Bruce Thomas Wayne has had many great adaptations. The glorious King Bruce Thomas Wayne has had many great adaptations we've all had the pleasure of experiencing over the years, many of these depictions being the primary reason as to why he's one of the most beloved fictional characters in modern day.
Oh my god! I got you in 4K! Just think about it!
But when you look at what directions these creatives like to go in, especially in live action, you notice how they all view Batman in only one way. A way that doesn't entirely encapsulate the character's vast lore and more notably Batman's fantastical nature seen in the comics. Most live-action Batman depictions have Batman in a grounded or realistic Gotham City, making you believe that someone like Batman could exist in
could be real, yeah.
Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy is pretty good. I like those movies.
Still the best one, in my opinion.
And the constant rehashing of using a more grounded Batman. It's as if these directors or studio heads quake in their boots at the idea of implementing a Robin or any Bat family member for that matter, or think the notion of Batman fighting a giant clay monster is too silly. They really look at the failures of Batman Forever.
I hate this movie, even as a Batman fan. Batman and Robin, it's a joke.
Never again.
Coupled with the success of the Dark Knight trilogy, they just went on with that as
look how short he was, bro.
How Batman should be depicted. So much so the influence of those movies had ripple effects on the DCEU because Christopher Nolan was considered to direct Man of Steel. Eventually, Zack Snyder would take on the film, and the rest is history. Which sucks because we should not be delegated to one type of Batman that often does not scratch the surface of his expansive comic history and supporting cast. You can only do grounded, realistic Batman depictions for so long before they become stale.
Yes.
At that point, you can't really offer anything new. I'd imagine there are plenty of videos out there with people giving their thoughts on the overuse of a realistic Batman in movies, and it may seem redundant to talk about it here. One, I haven't seen any of those other videos, and I feel like getting this off my chest.
And that's why I always say I hope James Gunn is going a different route. Hopefully James Gunn is that fan that's like, okay, we've done this route of Batman for too long now. Let's change it up. Let's change it up. We're going to have Batman do this and look this way. I heard that his Batman has a Damian Wayne is going to be the Robin, but I heard he's already in the universe as it is. So they're not going to show how Robin was came into. That's what I was told. I don't know how much of that is true, but if that's the case, I'm cool with that. is a more older Batman. He has Robin already, maybe Batgirl, Nightwing, who knows? I'm down with that. That's why I like Ben Affleck, because he was 20 years in already. You saw when he walked past the in his Batcave, the Robin suit where Joker killed Robin, who turned to Red Hood later. You saw the suit, so you saw that he's been through. I'm down with stuff like that. We haven't really enjoyed that in live action. And somebody made a good point. They was like, it's crazy how the video games of Arkham are way better storytelling, way better interactive with the villains. It's all different kind of ones, whether grounded or science fiction. You know, in stories, they're doing so well, and the live actions don't say, look how they did it. Let's take some of that and put it in the movie. I don't understand it either. They're like, Batman animated series has so many great moments. I don't understand why. I'm still waiting on the Mask of the Phantasm to come in live action. I think that would be sick. But anyway, let me keep playing. Sorry.
I don't fucking care.
Dang. What I miss?
Batman's seem redundant to talk about it here. One, I haven't seen any of those other videos, and I feel like getting this off my chest. And two,
I don't.
alongside having a Batman centered on realism, creatives really like the idea of Batman in his earlier years as a crime fighter, with many of these stories taking place during year 2 or earlier. Batman 89 had it where people didn't really know of his existence in the beginning of the film. Batman Begins is obviously an origin story, and thinking back on it, Bruce Wayne wasn't really active as Batman for that long in the Dark Knight universe, because the Dark Knight takes place, I believe, less than a year after Batman Begins. Then at the end of that movie, he becomes a fugitive and retires from being Batman for about 8 years, comes back, gets his back blown out, heals up, and then fakes his death. The most recent Batman movie with Robert Pattinson features Batman in his second year of crime fighting, taking inspiration from classic stories like The Long Halloween. Bruce at this point hasn't adopted a more billionaire playboy persona, as he's become so devoted to his mission early on into his career. Even in non-live action projects like to center on an early career Batman like Batman Caped Crusader, where in that show he's only been Batman for about a week. Batman the Telltale series has him in his early days, as well as the animated Tomorrowverse with Batman The Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2. The good thing is that most of these projects aren't bad by any means.
No.
The only issue centers on how that's all these writers.
It's just overdone. That's it.
Batman. Even if they do have fantastical villains or side characters, very rarely nowadays do we get to see a veteran Batman who's very competent and experienced, having a large roster of crime fighter allies. Yeah, there's the DCEU iteration where Batman fought alongside the Justice League, but that doesn't really mean much because it was very short-lived. Ben Affleck pretty much said he was done with Batman.
Unfortunately.
Movies before returning for a cameo role in The Flash. We also didn't get to see much of Batman's lore and background due to never getting a solo movie.
But we got Shazam 1 and 2.
Deathstroke as the main villain.
Yeah, Deathstroke was going to be the villain, bro. That's one of my favorite Batman. But when they showed Deathstroke at the post-credit scenes of these Zack Snyder movies, you talk about your heart racing. And then they had the right guy for it, in my opinion. Oh, man, bro. What could have been? James Gunn, I am counting on you as a Batman fan. I am counting on you to do it right. Because the next Batman movie we're going to have is the one with Pattinson, which, again, is not a problem. But like he said, it's being overdone with the whole grounded version. But I'm hoping we will probably see it for another 2 years. Well, no, they said Superman movie. Well, Batman's not in that, as far as I know. But I don't know. Maybe another 2-3 years before we get a James Gunn Batman movie. But please listen to the fan base. Look at the animated series. Look at the Arkham series. Look at how impactful Ben Affleck was. There's a mixed bag of people who like with Zack Snyder's universe. Some like it, some don't. But one thing a lot in both areas agree on, a lot of them agree on, is that Affleck's Batman with the warehouse scene and all that was what we wanted. So we'll see.
Since added context could have made Batman's actions in BVS more sensible, there's a dead Robin established that's barely touched upon.
Yeah.
He fumbled the bag.
You ruined it. You ruined it, and I'm leaving.
On a random note, have you seen Batman's suit in The Flash? What kind of monstrosity was the costume department?
Yeah, I don't understand that situation, but whatever.
The action surrounding Ben Affleck's Batman is exactly the type of physicality I look forward to seeing
yes.
in Batman. By far my favorite live-action Batsuit ever put to screen. The warehouse
yes.
fight scene in Batman v Superman is inarguably the best scene in that entire movie.
See?
It's like seeing Arkham Batman go at it in a movie.
That's literally Arkham Batman, literally.
These movies movies and shows that do focus on a younger Batman aren't bad or mishandled. Case in point, Matt Reeves' The Batman and the Penguin series. I didn't think the Penguin was gonna be bad or anything, but I never really saw the point in giving Penguin his own spin-off show. I can't even lie though. The
It's
first
good.
few episodes that released time of recording have been peak. It's pretty solid, man. It's pretty good.
It could have been his own thing without Batman.
Fucking best.
Seems like the people at DC Studios are letting Matt Reeves cook on the side, letting him flesh out his own Batman universe with his own kitchen set of utensils, or as he likes to call it, the Batman.
And that should only give James Gunn more incentive to go a different route with Batman. Because since his and Matt Reeves is around, like, they're obviously together, not in the same universe, but you know what I mean, they're coming out at the same times, that should encourage James Gunn, don't go down the same route with Batman. It's time to go more to the fantasy side. So hopefully
Reeves fully plans
that's
to
what it
expand
is.
his universe with at least another spin-off series, and obviously the Batman Part 2, which is more likely than not going to morph into a full trilogy. But an important thing to note is how much Matt Reeves has emphasized how grounded his interpretation of Batman is going to be, and how he has no desire in delving into the fantastical, which is why I'm going to
And that's why people, when they keep telling me that Mr. Freeze or Clayface is going to be the next villain, I don't believe it. As cool as that sounds, I don't believe because of what Matt Reeves said of how he was his Batman. Yeah, allegedly he said he's even said it too, but I can't remember the exact words he says, but basically his Batman's gonna be grounded. That's why I don't believe it's gonna be a Mr. Freeze or a Clayface. I was told that the people are saying that that's gonna be the villain. I don't believe it. So, if anything, I could see like maybe a Hush or Court of Owls, which would be cool. Like, I'm not against that, but the fantasy side, I really don't believe that's going to happen. Not on his version.
Real quick, for the love of God, stop moaning and whining about Robert Pattinson's Batman not being in James Gunn's DCU, or advocating that.
Yes, I'm glad he's not. Be in this universe.
The only reason James Gunn is doing his own thing with Batman is because Matt Reeves doesn't want to be tied to a larger interconnected universe out of his control. He's
And I
gone
can
on
respect
record
that.
saying he has no plans to go fully fantastical with his Batman, saying he wants to
See.
translate these mythic characters so that Gotham feels like a place in our world. Or noting how villains like the Gentleman Ghost, for example, would be a hypothetical villain that's too fantastical for his movies. So don't expect a metahuman Poison Ivy or a Clayface monster if those characters ever get added into
Mr. Freeze
the
or
creative
whatever.
team out here really changing the Penguin's name from Oswald Cobblepot to Oswald Cobb or Oz Cobb just for the sake of keeping it grounded. Not sure how going from Cobblepot to Cobb as a last name is more realistic, but
Right, I don't understand
normally
that.
I'd be pretty frustrated to learn that a version of Batman will never have the chance to experience fantastical villains or plot lines. But Matt Reeves' comments on his more grounded approach with Batman, or not wanting to go too comic booky with it, doesn't bother me because that's what the DCU is for. If Robert Pattinson's Batman was the only live-action theatrical Batman we were getting, then yeah, I would be.
It would be a little
pretty
different, but
crazy.
yeah.
Would start throwing hands on sight. This could backfire, but it seems as if we'll be getting two theatrical Batman simultaneously, with The Brave and the Bold movie being the introduction to the DCU's Batman.
The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne.
Okay,
This
so
is
it's
based on
confirmed
Grant
then.
Morrison's
Okay.
Great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family.
I like that. So it's not
I
a
have no
1 or
idea
2
if
years
it
as
will be
Batman.
good,
I like
but
that.
Off rip, it's doing something longtime Batman fans have been begging
Yes.
and pleading to see in live action.
I'm not gonna get too excited,
Actually
but
featuring
I'm
the
excited.
Bat family and the Robin character.
Finally!
It's funny to think about how a new live-action Batman would be different enough by just fully adapting the version of Batman seen in the past few decades of mainstream DC comics. If this were just another grounded take, having two Batmen who both exist in their early
Yeah,
years or similarly
that would be
realistic
annoying.
would feel repetitive and nonsensical. You can have your crime-driven detective noir stories with a Batman in his early years with the Batman universe, and on the other side of the spectrum, you have a team player who works alongside the Justice League.
Yeah, which
as
I hope
Batman
Nightwing and
fully
Batgirl show
experiences
up.
the crime crime fighter and has an extensive fantastical rogues gallery in the DCU. Batman fans can literally have their cake and eat it too. While they are introducing Damian Wayne in the movie and not Dick Grayson or even Tim Drake for that matter as a Robin, that doesn't automatically mean they're going to skip over those characters. What this means is that it's a lived-in universe where Batman has gone through a lot of his established lore from the source material.
I was about to say, yeah, Dick Grayson might just be Nightwing
in the movie.
Yeah.
I really want this to work because it's a chance
Yes.
for the casual audience
Yes,
to see
please
Batman
work.
through a lens they've
Please
never
work.
experienced before. Deadass, just give me an Arkham Batman.
That's
translated
it. It's
to
so
live action,
simple.
As that version of Batman had a good blend of some grounded elements while also not shying
Yeah, it
away
mixed-
from
see what I'm saying? It
any
mixed both.
unrealistic or comic book elements. A Batman in his prime who's a very competent hand-to-hand combatant, tactician, and just overall master of his craft. Being set in a fantastical universe with established superpowered individuals would be the perfect setting and gateway in conveying more of his martial arts prowess.
Yes.
Get out of here with his goofy choreography seen in the Chris Nolan movies. This man Bruce is an absolute menace in the field, and I would like to see more of that. Not to mention, Damian Wayne's introduction is bound to have the League of Assassins and possibly Ra's al Ghul show up. Do you
Talia
know how
as
cool
well.
it would be to get a comic-accurate Batcave with all its accessories? Imagine you go into a section of the movie through Damian's perspective, seeing all the different memorabilia
That would be cool.
highlighting Batman's experiences over the years, the classic Jason Todd memorial display, different bat suits he's worn, the giant penny, the dinosaur, the
And hopefully James Gunn will start revealing Red Hood with Jason Todd.
Conversation of what the Bat family will actually look like or who the family will comprise of. I think there are some universal constants whenever you're adapting a story like this. Batman and Damian are already locked in so far. The no-duh choices would be people like Nightwing and Alfred. Everyone else is a bit up in the air, taking into account how some other adaptations like to adapt the Bat family. The DCAMU, for instance, got rid of Jason Todd and Tim Drake entirely, and Barbara Gordon didn't get introduced until much later. You don't want it to be too big because that's kind of a problem the comics have been dealing with for a while, just needlessly adding.
Just keep
more and
adding,
more
yeah.
characters to the
I do want
universe.
Batgirl, though.
If I
She's
were
my
limited
second
to only
favorite
having
in the
5
Bat
or so
family.
additional members, I would have Dick, Jason, Tim, Barbara Gordon as Oracle, and Cassandra Cain as Batgirl. I think you could do
Oracle? No, I
more
want
with
as
Barbara
Batgirl for a little bit
than
first.
you
I want to
do
show the
with
progress
wider
to
DC
Oracle.
universe. I would ideally want to add Stephanie Brown, but I don't know if they'd want to limit the amount of people in the Bat family off rip. So that
Honestly,
because-
for me, I would love. Well, obviously, Damian Wayne's gonna be there. He's my favorite Robin, but I want Dick Grayson as Nightwing. I want Batgirl, and honestly, those three are fine with me. I like Batwoman as well, but like I said, I don't want them too big. So, and I want a Red Hood story. So, considering if they go the route of the comics, who knows? Maybe they'll probably change. They probably won't do the same thing as the comics. So that's 4 then. I'm cool with just that. You know, I don't need it to be too big. Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and then maybe a little bit here and there of Red Hood, and that's that. I'm satisfied.
Get too overcrowded. Every adaptation of the Bat family has a pretty limited roster of about 6 members at most from what I've seen, with Cassandra being my pick for an added 7th member or something. There's also been a lot of speculation on who they'll cast as the DCU Batman, more specifically what age range they're looking for. Many people just assume that because this Batman has been a crime fighter for over a decade minimum due to Damian Wayne's sheer existence, then Batman has to be a lot older, closer to middle age. That's likely not the case at all, since that would be a pretty big age.
He could be like late
disparity
30s.
between Batman and Superman. The current Batman in DC Comics continuity is roughly in his mid to late 30s, with all the Bat family members being established. While casting a 50-year-old to play Batman for a movie
do all
would
that,
be
yeah.
problematic, you have to think about it in the long term. They would want Batman to be a key player in this universe for
Yeah.
the next 8 to 10 years.
And
So
because, you know,
need
Justice
to
League will
cast
be coming
someone
and all
young
that
for the
stuff.
sake of longevity. Also, there was this bogus rumor floating around that they were looking for a middle-aged actors for Batman in the DCU, and James Gunn pretty much went on threads and Instagram saying that supposed scoop was a load of bull. I could see the concern for them casting an older Batman, considering they just booked Kyle Chandler, a 59-year-old actor, to play Hal Jordan in the DCU. It's more likely, however, they'll have Jon Stewart be the primary.
I was gonna say,
actor
I could see
going
Hal
forward
Jordan
after
being
the
like
first
cameos or
series,
something.
played by Aaron Pierre, who's only 30 years old. Unless they're trying to kill off Bruce Wayne early on and have Dick Grayson
They
take
better
the
not.
mantle or something.
They
no
better
reality
not.
Are they going to cast a 50-plus-year-old actor for Batman? I'd bet money on that. With Robin being emphasized on the big screen later,
I could see him
on
being
that-
in his 50s at the end of James Gunn's universe when it's all said and done, like their end game. I could see that, but starting off, no, late 30s, and then that gives you a nice 12 to 13 years before he even hits 50.
In his career, it leaves room for the other members to be explored upon through flashbacks or spin-off projects. Recently, James Gunn announced a theatrical animated movie in the works called Dynamic Duo, which centers on Nick Grayson and Jason Todd as young orphan thieves who call themselves the Dynamic Duo. I'm pretty sure this will not take place in the DCU and it's just an Elseworlds project, but it does leave room on the table for them to put some of the spotlight on these characters in different shows and movies. I just don't want them to go overboard in greenlighting projects centered on Batman characters like Joker or whatever. Lord knows we are high-key cool without villain-centric movies like Joker 2 for a while. The hell is next?
We're done. We're done.
A movie on the Condiment King? God forbid, a spin-off of Joker 2 featuring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn?
You better stop there.
I was like, what the?
I'm really tired of the era where directors...
But yeah, we're done. We're done with that. I hope Joker 2, let them know we're done. Honestly, instead of Joker 2, I wish they had like a story arc or freeze, but we don't need that. We need more Batman projects. It's time to stop these other side movies. Like instead of the Ben Affleck movie, we got Shazam 1 and 2. You know, all this other stuff. Birds of Prey. We could have got Batman by then and take place of Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman would have done more numbers than all three of those movies I just said. Easily. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Or ashamed of being associated with a comic book. Todd Phillips wanted nothing to do with DC while in the process of making the Joker sequel, refusing communication with James Gunn or anyone else at DC Studios. Or he would go on about Arthur Fleck never really being the Joker or he's not the true Joker. Complete nonsense, as that contradicts what was established in the first film. But if you truly have that mindset, then brother, don't use the Joker or Batman IP. These people use beloved IPs just so that more people will watch the story
because of the name, yeah. Even though the first one was really good, no problem with the first. That second one, I don't.
Pretentious YouTuber is gonna cook up a video essay in defense of Joker 2, stating how it's misunderstood and is simply some cinematic masterpiece.
Am I the only one who understands the complexities of this ambitious cinematic masterpiece?
Oh, okay, goddamn.
This movie isn't stupid! You're stupid!
Man, you guys only hated the movie because it's a musical. Only incels like the first Joker movie. You don't like it because there's no action scenes.
Shut the for once! Shut the just for once.
The movie isn't bad because of the musical elements. If you take away every single scene that involves singing or dancing, people would still dislike it because the script is a mess.
It just wasn't good.
It
just wasn't a good movie.
Reflecting on Arthur's previous actions.
It was good with the first one. They should have ended with
Not
that.
to mention the musical elements don't enhance the film or convey what we already didn't know what the characters were thinking. It could have been a unique way in demonstrating the thought process of Joker and Harley, but it isn't. It's just a nuisance at best. Hopefully slop like Joker 2 won't be released anytime soon. Batman is one of those characters that have a lot to offer in terms of what direction you want to go in, but nowadays the appeal centers on a realistic Batman, a year 2 Batman, or both. The Robin character has been neglected in live action movies for 20 plus years, with the Bat family really only making their way into animation and gaming. I cannot have the latest major project centered on the Bat family be the Gotham Knights video game, bruh. I need them to let the general audience know what's up.
What the real one is, yeah.
Damian Wayne is his favorite Robin, but I wouldn't be surprised if Damian's introduction also plays a role in helping audiences suspend their disbelief about the idea of a child roaming around in the streets alongside Batman, having an estranged son.
Those animated movies did very well too, though.
Earth might help some casual audiences become accustomed to the idea of a Robin, but only time will tell. We've had enough of the whole grounded Batman thing for a while. After Matt Reeves is done with his vision, I think it's time to put that era of Batman to rest.
I agree. So that was a good video. I'll make sure to have his video, if you want to watch it again yourself without me here, I'll put it in the description below. Shout out to him. Did I like it? Yes. M Enterprise. I'm interested to see what else he's talking about. But I agree. And I already gave my take on it. I don't want to make this video too long. But yeah, let me know what y'all feel about it in the comments below. Y'all want more of the Grounded, even with Matt Reeves and James Gunn together? You want them both do Grounded? I seriously doubt it. But if you do, that's your opinion, then okay. I don't want that. We got Matt Reeves. Let that be the Grounded. Now James Gunn, let's go a different route. And with the Brave and the Bold, it looks like it's light at the end of the tunnel. So we'll see. Anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.